going to send our men and women to harm's way when our elected officials said that there would be no war. Anybody who feels disillusioned and betrayed by our government, you're not alone. Join us in demanding accountability for this betrayal. Free Palestine, free America.
Imagery showing the extent of the damage to U.S. military facilities across Gulf Arab countries is starting to emerge, part of Iran's furious response to an Israeli-American campaign that decimated its leadership. At least 9 U.S. military positions have been hit in less than 48 hours. These are relatively close targets. They're much nearer to Iran than its usual target, Israel. That proximity may give Iran's missiles and drones a better chance of hitting their targets. This is the port of Shuaibah, where just after 9 a.m. on Sunday morning, an Iranian strike set a makeshift U.S. operations center at the civilian port ablaze. 6 American service members were killed in the attack. You can see smoke rising from the fire. The blown-out 3-wide trailer blackened on the inside. There are few signs of fortification. In another attack, a drone, this appears to be the Arash-2, crashes into U.S. positions in Camp Buring. A building severely damaged. American helicopters parked inside the base were nearly hit. In Bahrain, a Shahid attack drone flies into the base that hosts the U.S. Navy's 5th Fleet, one of the largest American naval formations in the world. It looks alarmingly defensive.
Peace. How everybody doing? I hope everybody having a wonderful night. We gonna be talking about Iran, the Middle East on blaze, because United States attacked Iran in formation with Israel. And we will be talking about the Gulf nations and the Middle East on blaze and the countries that also feeling the impact of this chaotic situation. We will show imagery that show destruction, mayhem. So if you is under the age of 13, let's say 13, it might be a vibe that you might don't want to see. And we're going to also show both sides, the carnage on both sides, the impact on both sides, and also what we here in America gonna feel, what the people in developing countries gonna feel. We gonna go in depth. I'm your host, Henry. Thank you for tuning in to Newsroom 16.1. The co-host with us tonight is none other than Shinakama JML, my friend, my partner from Rhode Island. I'm situated out here in the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area. We coming to drop it to you. How you doing tonight? How you doing, Shin?
Hey man, you already know it's a good night. We out here. We're gonna and hopefully inform some people
You
and
sound kind of low.
drop some knowledge. How you doing tonight?
Good. Everything good.
All right, that's good to hear. You know what I mean. God bless.
Yeah, so let's drop a little video. We're going to drop a video on situations of eyewitness report on hidden information. Let's go.
जब बम फटता है ना तो वो देखता ही नहीं कि भारतीय है कि इजरायली है।
सही बात
और
है।
आपके बगल में ना गोलियों से तो आप बच जाएंगे, राइट लेफ्ट चोट लगेगी, मिसाइल से आप बचेंगे नहीं। और ये कहने की बातें थी कि बंकर बहुत अच्छे होते हैं। 100 फीट गहरे बंकर में हमने देखा कि लोग मर गए वहां पे, और आपको कुछ नहीं बताया जा रहा असलियत क्या, क्योंकि हमें कुछ बता। ये तो इंडियन मीडिया है, धन्यवाद देना चाहिए सरकार का। कितनी बेहतरीन सरकार है हमारी। वहां तो सरकार आपको कुछ बता नहीं रही। आप वहां विजुअल्स नहीं ले सकते लाशों के, अस्पताल आप नहीं जा सकते हैं। और जब घटना होती तो हमें मालूम ही नहीं कि जगह कौन सी। जैसे आपको हमें मालूम है कि अभी गौर सिटी में जाना है, वहां पे किस जगह जाना है घटना, ये हमें मालूम ही नहीं, क्योंकि कौन बताने वाला हमें। और जब हम अगले दिन सुबह पहुंच रहे हैं, और सारे और भी पत्रकार, सिर्फ सादरा नहीं और भी जितने पत्रकार, बोला जा रहा है कि ओनली वन कैजुअलिटी, 1% डाइड। लेकिन वहां पे जो लोकल जो इजरायलियन जो कि यहाँ पे हिमाचल आते हैं फूकने के लिए, उन्होंने बताया देयर वर 4 हाउसेज, नोबडी इज अलाइव। इससे पता लगता है कि बड़ी वहां घटना हुई। और मैं आपको सच बताऊं कि वहां का टेक्नोलॉजी जो कहने की बात है ना, अलार्म बजता था हम लोग को। एक दिन सुबह 5 बजे की बात मैं आपको बताऊं कि अलार्म बजा ही नहीं, बस धुड़ुम धुड़ुम की आवाजें आ रही थी। पता लगा कि बिना अलार्म की चीजें आ गई। तो टेक्नोलॉजी फेल है। और जब वो आपके ड्रोन्स और खासतौर से मिसाइलें दगती है ना, तो नहीं पता हमारे 200 मीटर से हम कितनी दूरी पे हैं। और अभी आपको पता लगा होगा कि खासतौर से मिडिल ईस्ट में सारे अमेरिकन एम्बेसी को उन्होंने टारगेट किया। हो सकता है कि तेल अवीव की उसको टारगेट किया था, तो हम भी नहीं बचते।
So, we showing that information right here. The video is to show in foreign media that is neutral, like Thailand, India, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka. When you go look at media in them countries right there where they are neutral and they don't really have a lot to benefit, they'll give you more detail where we dealing with United States. Because United States is coming into this war with 3 main factors. One is technology. 2 is propaganda, and 3 is money. The money is to keep the military complex running. The propaganda is to show that America is winning to the American people, so America would devote their time and energy and believe in America could win this conflict. And the technology is the smart bombs, the spy network with the satellite to see enemy combating. That is their strength, but they are facing an enemy that is using asymmetrical warfare, which most of the time we look at David and Goliath, and David, the small man, a lot of the time win in this case. So Shin, drop your words on this.
I think it's just a new. It's just a new low by the legacy media. It's a blow to the international media. Um, based on media reports, we're only hearing that so many people have been moved on to the next life with this chapter of what's going on in the conflicts with Iranian incursion battles over here in these secondary countries next to Israel, Qatar, Bahrain, and UAE, stuff like that. They're just getting hit up, but they're not really reporting the casualty rates, you know what I'm saying? So, which we know that's a high priority, I will say, on the Trump administration and the media to severely underreport these casualty rates, and including United States military personnel casualty rates. And they want to try to keep it looking like it's minimum damage done to the industrial military complex of the United States, when we can see plainly that A lot of these bases is getting blown up. A lot of these places is getting blown up. And like it was showing in the previous video that we did last time, the even when the soldiers moved out of the base, they still was getting hit up in the hotels they was staying at. So they was getting hit up in secondary and third positionings that were the backup positions and supposed to be more stealth or more tactical of a maneuver to hide amongst the populace. Then that sounds like conflicts that we've had in the past with other previous enemies, and we're taking their strategies and we're using them. So now I'm gonna force into question things that we always brought up, Henry, about the terrorism, the war on terrorism, and our adversaries in that. Being that now we see the United States is using the same tactics of not being in the operating base, but actually being in these hotels in these second and third fallback positions, which are hidden amongst the populaces. And that's something that we hear that the Palestinians was doing in Gaza. So it just goes to show you that the United States, even though it started off initiating as the aggressor in this circumstance in Israel, they have been knocked ajar, and now they're in a defensive posture because Iran has been making plenty of offensive maneuvers that have been destroying a lot of targets. And the United States and Israel is just, they don't want to report the casualty rates because they don't want to accept the criticism for what's going on. Still want to get the positive outcomes of getting people to join the cause or to join the military or any of the armed forces. So, it's just, that's what they're going to do. They're going to always do this because they think that lying to the American people instead of telling us what's really going on is better PR. So,
So
we getting our information off of eyewitness accounts on social media, and we'll just keep seeing the legacy media keep lying to our faces with this egregious propaganda, which is neglectful.
so in the video that I showed earlier, that we showed earlier, the eyewitness said that the missile that the Iranian have is able to penetrate bunkers, the same weapons that the West is fighting with. Go go down into the ground with the first explosion, and once they reach the destination, another explosion occurred, which collapsed the underground infrastructure. It's showing that the Iran is sending weapons unheard of in the West that they have. You also have cluster ammunition. Cluster ammunition is one missile coming in, and the warhead itself split different bombs, and it's split in a radius, a far radius, and do more damage to the outlying area than attacking one precise area. So if you in the middle of that radius you try to run out, you still dealing with individual ammunition. And also it's outlawed by the international community, but United States and Israel had not signed on to any agreement to outlaw that. We have peace headset telling the American people in the world we are not going by the Geneva Convention. We are not going by the world order of things. However, we decide to pursue the enemy in any means necessary, United States said it is on the table. But Iran, we can't say, came to the table with a little decorum. Iran told Middle Eastern countries like Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar, Bahrain, that it would not attack them after Friday if they do not receive any aggression coming from the United States military bases in their land. But United States is using these military bases to protect Israel. And Iran have the knowledge of where particular installations at, like radar systems and spy headquarters that can detect missiles and drones on the way towards Israel. These facilities is getting attacked. If a United States personnel leave a military base and go into a hotel and using that hotel as a headquarter, that hotel under the Geneva Convention is a military headquarter and it is a valid target. So, Shin, can you do me a favor?
Yep.
These are quotes that came from Russia and quotes that came from Iran themselves. So now we're gonna go into the former president of Russia. Here you go. Let
The
me
Gulf Arab countries let the American bases onto their territory. Naively, they expected protection from them. Like hell, the US just uses them while protecting only one country. Think long and hard about whether you really need US bases. They're not protection, they're a threat. That was Dmitry Medvedev.
This is former prime minister. He he rotate the place with Vladimir Putin. He's like the second person in control in Russia. He's saying the same thing that we here in the United States is saying and other countries are saying. That these bases is used as an early warning system to protect Israel. But now Middle East countries is getting attacked. America is running out of ammunition. You cannot protect all these military bases and protect Israel without running out of ammunition. Iran is on the home front. They protect missiles on the ground. You got to ship the missiles in from the United States. Israel want to create their own defense industry. They want to start creating their own weapons. But they did not give time for that to occur. They love out fighting Hezbollah, Hamas, Houthis, and Iran in a 12-day war. They lost. Israel lost. We told you before Israel lost. It took America to come to the negotiation table for the Iranians to stop. We is just making the weak mark. And we see more destruction in a wide range of area. The Iranians told us, the world, that if Israel and if the United States attack Iran, all United States interests will be targeted. It's up to no negotiation. Arab nations was lobbying reports. These are reports that Arabs, neighbors of Iran, was lobbying Washington to not attack Iran. That's why America was at a negotiation table with Iran in Oman. Same thing that occurred the first time when Israel attacked Iran. It was when the United States in a negotiation. Who want to believe United States negotiation? We come to the negotiation and you attack us. Then we come back to the negotiation table. A deal is supposed to be reached and we get attacked again. A third time, I don't think they want a third time. I think they want America to succeed. I think this might be a new era for the finance of the world. But
Hey, you know, it's a real predicament for the international community, especially considering that these countries are getting heavily bombarded. They're getting lit up. Their people is getting lit up. We see videos and imageries on different social media platforms of these places, even the cities and the civilian areas getting clobbered by these intense attacks of the missile defense with the mixed with the drones, suicide drone from Iranians, and it's doing some real considerable damage onto these areas to the point where they got to say, hey, look, United States, we're getting hit up, bro. We need help. You're going to either have to shut this down because we're taking too many losses, you know? You got to you really got to think about the the forward the forward strategy of the United States and Israel, like Henry already said, is to protect greater Israel, not to protect the allies in the Middle East, which it shows because Israel is not getting bombarded as hard as some of the countries that are closer to Iran. So, if you ask me, it was a smart tactic and strategy by the U.S. If we're talking about a defense strategy, because it's like football, you know what I mean? Some people is gonna clash in the offensive line. That's like what it is for the quarterback. Israel's the quarterback, so they got those other forward positions in Bahrain, UAE, etc. That these forward positions is acting like the offensive lineman, and they're trying to be a distraction and throw some blocks for Israel, but at the same time, you know, it's like they're getting through. The defensive men, which would be the Iranian missiles, is getting through they're getting through the offensive line. In Israel, we seen on some of the videos, Israel was getting sacked. They was getting hit up with some of them missiles, some of those hypersonic missiles. A lot of those drones been getting through. And if the eyewitness accounts are saying that even the bunkers are not safe, then you got to ask yourself one question at this point when you're in the civilian apparatus, and then that is how long till you have to make an exit strategy, and that you can't put good faith in the United States or Israel to protect you because they told you the bunkers were safe, and now the bunkers are getting busted up. So good luck. You know what I'm saying? I feel bad for the civilians. And I also understand, though, that this is warfare, so you can't really feel bad. You just got to be prepared for the outcomes and the collateral damage. You hear, Henry?
Three of the four biggest Gulf economies are running out of money. Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Kuwait, and Qatar have reportedly begun a joint review of their overseas investment commitments. And the country that should be the most concerned about that is the United States. When Trump visited the region last year, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and Qatar collectively pledged hundreds of billions of dollars in U.S. investment. That money was supposed to fund American infrastructure, manufacturing, and financial markets. Those pledges were among the signature achievements Trump came home bragging about. But now, those same countries are sitting in rooms together asking whether force majeure clauses can be legally invoked to walk some of that back. And whether future commitments will still make any sense given how their economies are genuinely getting hammered. Saudi Arabia was already running a $73 billion budget deficit heading into 2026, and that was before a single missile was fired. Now, the Strait of Hormuz is shut. One of Saudi Aramco's largest refineries has been struck. Qatar has declared force majeure on LNG production. Defense spending has spiked across the board. And tourism is pretty much dead. These countries are absorbing the full weight of Iran's retaliation for a war the US started, while watching every major revenue stream they have take damage at the same time. And if they follow through on this review and actually start pulling that money out,
I know we talked about this earlier, but how badly has Israel been damaged? Or do we not know because of their sensors?
Well, we know indirectly. You're correct about the sensors. They're claiming, oh, yeah, we're shooting down 95% of the missiles. Really? Then show the pictures. Because you know what? It's quite easy to put up video that shows boom, flash as these warheads are destroyed by Israel. Well, they're not doing that. And the reason they're controlling the information so tightly is they are taking a pummeling. I spoke with Stanislav Krapivnik. The Stas is able to see some social media from Russia that Russia has access to that's not being shown in the West. He said Tel Aviv is getting the Gaza treatment right now. So that means they're getting significant destruction in there. And that's the point I'm making in all this is if things are really going your way, if you're conquering territory and taking people right and left, you show the evidence. You show the videos. You don't hide that. You go out and brag. Hey, look at what we did. You're not seeing that. And in fact, what I'm hearing, I've got confirmation now. I was skeptical of the claim that the Kuwaitis had shot down those 3 F-15s, but I've got it from a firm source. The Kuwaitis shot down the 3 F-15s, and they have shot down a number of drones. And U.S. pilots are now saying they would rather be flying over Iran. They think it's safer to fly over Iran than to fly over Kuwait.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, it's a lot to digest right there. But we here. We see that the campaign mixed with propaganda, they hiding the damages. They hiding what's really going on. Let me do this.
So if they're hiding the damages, that means that they're definitely covering up the casualty rates.
Yes.
Because remember, Henry, they don't want to be asking the American people to draft their children to go to this combat situation and have it look like they're running into a firing squad. You know what I mean? They don't want them. They don't want people to feel that sense of despair or a sense of hopelessness that people are gonna get took down and you know what I mean, Henry. I don't want to get too deep into that descriptions or talking about it in a certain type of way because you know how they do about the censorships. But the reality is they got really stepped their game up, United States military, and let us see that. You know what I gotta really say too about this situation that's going on? Let's see that high tech weaponry. You know, they was quick to bring the high tech weaponry, new tech weaponry out against Venezuela. But against Iran, like you said, Henry, they keep using this asymmetrical warfare. Like that's the play, If they got these railgun cannons and they got these different methodologies like the supersonic warfare and things of this nature, extrasensory disruption, sensory deprivation devices, and these type of things, then why aren't we using them? If we're not knocking out Iranian missile silos and hitting the bases or hitting their launchers, it would help then if they hit Iran with an EMP. You know what I'm saying? Well, then now people's gonna say, yeah, but what about the civilians and da. You know what I'm saying? We can't worry about the civilians. This is total war situation. Would you agree, Henry? This is a total war situation.
Yes. Yes.
So then that means civilian casualties based on the definition of a total war and the defense strategy, military tactic and training. What they teach you is that if it's a total war situation, then civilians are already counted as collateral damage. Meaning that
Yes.
you already know some civilians is going to get took up out of here. That's just war. That's natural in war. So if in a lot of what we've been doing in Iran as an offensive strategy has been very unlike the United States strategies that have succeeded in the past against other countries, especially modernized countries, which is to hit critical infrastructures, which we're not hitting, that we can show that they're not aiming for bridges, key bridges, or water desalination plants, or the electrical power grids, or none of that stuff, because this is how we know it's an economic condition, because they don't want to take away the Iranian people's ability to still operate in the global economy, which then, if you're following these weak parameters of what you're going to attack, how you're going to attack, what you're going to defend, how you're going to defend, that doesn't fit the definition of total war anymore. This is more, and then that goes into more of a situation of precision strikes. It's just precision strikes.
So Iranians could choke off a major key part, the Strait of Hormuz. This little tiny area right here. Let's zoom in. Strait of Hormuz. Where the Iran stopped this waterway, 20% of the world oil will be halted. But that's not the worrisome part. It's food. Food getting to Saudi Arabia, food getting to Kuwait, food getting to these Gulf nations. Let's zoom out. Iran is a fortress because if we look at this map, let me zoom in a little more. We see dots represent cities, but large areas to the coastal is empty because it's mountain range. Mountain from the Persian Gulf into Iraq, because Iraq was only able to evade the western part of Iran. They wasn't able to go far because of the mountain range that stretched all the way into Turkey, a fortress. United States would have hard time having a land invasion of Iran. That would be the worst thing we can do. But Iran is telling the United States, send ground troops. Don't believe me? Look it up. The the legacy news that most people follow, they'll tell you the Iranian generals say, "Come on, United States, come into our territory," and they will show us. So let's get out of this map and go into what's going on in Israel.
Yep. Hold on, Henry. Let me just say something about what you was talking about real quick with the mountains too. See, the United States has been training for the past 30 years on urban combat zone, right? Mostly urban combat zones, Baghdad, Fallujah, etc. Urban areas, these are in the desert, so it's flat land. You know what I'm talking about when it comes to the execution of
Yes,
the ground troops.
yes.
And now they're going to go from, now it's going to be a serious turn of events if we have to go bring those ground troops in there, because the apparatus right now, the general apparatus for the United States military, is not built for a mountainous excursion. You know that
What
we're
what the
not in
two things the mountain range benefit the Iranian? At
and not
least
only that,
two.
they're like I was saying to you the other day, Henry, it's gonna be like Vietnam. You know what I'm saying? Like how but it's going to be on a larger scale than Vietnam in this situation, and a more technologically advanced versions of what we saw in Vietnam. Because remember, in Vietnam, they was using the tunnels in the jungle to evade the United States military and be able to do assaults against the ground forces. So the same thing with the Iranians, except now not only are they moving in those type of tunnels and have those type of underground bases over there, but they're also in the mountain ranges, which makes it even more difficult and more treacherous, because the natural effect of the mountains itself could take soldiers out based on the fact that it's a naturally dangerous terrain. You know, forget about just fighting soldiers. You got to go over those mountains, you know. And if you ever seen the movie with Mark Wahlberg, I forgot what it was called right now, but when he was in the Navy SEALs, and then they was trying to unalive that guy on the contract in the mountains in Afghanistan, and then they end up getting lit up by them Afghani soldiers because they end up in a situation where, and when they got put into the situation, they was in the vantage point because they was on a certain side, on the other side of the mountain. You know what I'm talking about, Henry? They was on this side of the mountain, blocked by the mountain when they was taking the original shots. But they, in order for them to get to the extraction, they had to go to the other side of the mountain going downhill, and without the mountain protecting you. So, you know, that's going to be, you're going to be sitting ducks when you got to do stuff like that. And if them Iranians have positioning where they can pop out on the side of the mountains, which we know they got because we've seen various reports from previous incidents where they were telling us about how the Iranians got rocket positions and forward operating bases inside the mountains, where they come out of the sheer cliffs and they come out of these caves facing the other sides of mountains, and giving them the advantage points on anyone who's trying to infiltrate the zone. So it would be very difficult. And like I said before, a lot of the natural terrain itself is going to be proven difficult because the soldiers themselves is not training on the rock climbing wall and training on these simulations in boot camps about warfare in the mountains and cliff diving and climbing up mountaintops and things like that. Yeah,
Yes.
they have limited training, but these Iranian mountain ranges, you need extreme specialized training, and also not to just mention, you would need a high level survival school certificate to even be considered to be sent to these type of ranges.
And it is suggested, that Iran missiles is coming from underneath the ground. Like they got a hatch. The hatch will fly open. The missile will come from underground, fly to the location. The hatch will close. So any satellite image or plane would not see any opening in the ground or any missile launch because the vehicles is underneath the ground.
Yeah,
These
Henry, and
missile
don't forget they
cities.
got the other and don't forget they got that second type too that we seen, where it's more of like they're coming out of the cliff face. You know what I'm talking about? You got the
Yes,
hatches
yes,
that open, and then you got the
yes,
ones where
going vertical.
they
Yes,
can drive the missile launchers out of the cave holes onto the edge of the cliff and shoot the missiles, and then reverse the trucks. And then when the satellites go overhead, they don't see, all they see is the mountain, like the top of the mountain, even though they're right there under that canopy of the cliff, you know. So they have very strong tactics for protecting themselves based on the natural camouflage of the mountains. And you got to think about it too, Henry. These mountains is made out of granite, and granite is one of the most hardest stones outside of a diamond that you could actually possibly work with. It's very good for home defense if you got granite. And it's going to take some real heavy megaton bombs to even scratch the surface of a lot of these operating positions.
So let's go into video of apparently showing Iran ballistic missiles dropping and what's experts say. This from the Associated Press. Let's go.
A video taken by the Associated Press shows what appear to be Iranian ballistic missiles flying over the occupied West Bank and dropping smaller bomblets, which are found inside the missile. A specialist at Armament Research Services confirmed that based on the number of visible objects seen, these are cluster munitions. Israel has accused Iran of using cluster munitions during this war, which Israel has used in previous wars in Lebanon, according to experts. According to AP reporting, the US used them last in 2003 in Iraq and has not joined a convention banning their use. Iran's latest attack comes as intense Israeli airstrikes continue to pound the capitals of Iran and Lebanon. The Israeli military says the fighting has destroyed most of Iran's air defenses and missile launchers. The broadening Iran war has ricocheted across the region and beyond, with nearly every country in the Middle East sustaining damage from missile hits, drone strikes, or shrapnel. US Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has warned that strikes against Tehran are about to surge dramatically.
Hey, Henry, did you notice? Henry, did you notice that they showed that little clip real fast, which we know why, because check out our shorts, and you'll see the breakdown of how they was using the Bugs Bunny techniques on the United States military. And if you notice in the clip right there from the media, they show the missiles hitting, but they never show the aftermath, Henry. You notice that?
Facts.
They always show it hit, boom, but then they shut it off before it shows the aftermath. Because like it shows in our short, that you can clearly see the outline is still there of the aircraft or the missile launchers or whatever it is they think they're hitting, because they painted pictures of these things onto the ground on the floor. And the missiles are really just hitting nothing. Which we know they're not even putting that in the reports, Henry. We already know that. See the clip? You seen how quick it was? It was like this. It was a quick flash. They showed you the missile hit, and then they went to something else real quick on the edit.
So we're going to go into our channel. We're going to go into the videos that we share on the short feed. So here we go. While edit, make sure y'all check out our shorts. We got 50 Cent's beefing with the whole T.I. family. We got video of chilling with the deers. Nature. We got video of backstage with T.I. We got music. We got all type of information. So let's go into two videos. This one right here first.
If you provoke a fight. Some of the smartest don't miss, can't read the language.
Oh, you gotta make sure I don't go too fast with this mouse. So there you go.
If you provoke a fight, don't cry when the punches come.
If you bomb a sovereign state, don't act surprised when they respond. This ain't a game. This ain't a drill. This is consequence. Israel lit the match. Iran didn't start this fire, but now they're walking through it like warriors, and suddenly the bully got a black eye, and he's crying out to Big Brother America to come hold him. Help us, Washington. We didn't think they'd fight back. Well, guess what? The days of getting hit without hitting back are over. Iran stood up, and that shook the Zionist throne because they never expected resistance, just obedience. Now let me say this plain. You don't have to like Iran. You don't have to agree with Iran. But if you believe in justice, if you believe in dignity, you better stand with the defenseless. Because right now, Israel ain't fighting for survival. It's fighting to keep domination. And Iran is answering a slap with a fist. They're used to bombing cities and watching the world do nothing. But this time, the world watched Tehran rise. This time, there was an answer. If you provoke a fight, don't cry when the punches come. If you bomb a sovereign state, don't act surprised when they respond. This ain't a game. This ain't a drill. This is consequence. Israel lit the match. Iran didn't start this fire, but now they're walking through it like warriors, and suddenly the bully got a black eye.
So we all know about.
You know, Henry, we might as well bring out the famous quote, right? It's the most infamous quote for this type of scenario. It was spoken by Malcolm X, Brother Malcolm. And you know what he said? Them chickens is coming home to roost in Washington.
Yes,
you understand what I'm saying? Them chickens is coming home to roost. And what's even more ironic, I would say, about it this time is the Trump administration and the United States government, it has the least amount of support for this conflict than it's had in any other conflicts, especially considering that the Trump administration is doing whatever they want willy-nilly out here. They haven't even approached the American people in an honest manner or even in a formal manner about what's going on and whether or not we as the people want to deal with this as a conflict. But what can we do? You know, that's what you get when you let PDF file criminals run the government.
Yes. After the death of Supreme Leader Imani, Kamadi, they burnt the statue of Baphomet with Israel and United States and Epstein. They burned imagery. Iran is fighting for survival, for one. They're fighting a religional cause. United States changed their mission statement so many times that the American people are confused. The government itself is confused. The mission is confused. Why? Because you tell the world, we're not here for regime change, but you assassinate not a politician, but a religious leader. For the Shiites around the world, you're uniting them under a religional banner. You said that Iran was days, weeks, months away for creating nuclear bombs. But turned out last year, you told the American people that you destroyed the institutions that would allow Iran to build a capability. It took them years
Not
to
only that,
build
Henry, this is
these institutions.
it's seeming also like to say what you to just say something real quick about what you're saying. It makes it feel like, well, not even it makes it feel like, but truthfully be told, this is actually a more ancient war, ancient battles than legacy media and even the secondary media with social media and people like us, investigative journalists, investigative journalism, informative journalism, privatized journalism is even really implying. It's a more, like you said, it's a more religional battle. It's not just religious though, Henry. It's ancient. You know what I mean? It's an ancient spirit on this because it's going back to the battles with ancient Babylon and in Uruk and talking about Nineveh and different battles in the Bible. We're talking about biblical history reoccurring. But when you go and you look and you read the Bible, when you read the Torah, when you read these different texts from the area, Iran, the cuneiform tablets, you really see that these conflicts have been waging on this earth for thousands to 10,000s of years in the past up into the present. And the burning of the statue of Baal / Baphomet, whatever you want to call it, it's part of that overall ideology and premise that this is not a conventional war. This is not a battle for supremacy in the aspects of when we went into Iraq or even in the Ukraine with Russia. Over here in this area of the world, we're talking about real end times, biblical battle of Armageddon, battle of Megiddo type effects,
Right,
and a lot of
right.
prophecies going into that, and a lot of religious factors.
Okay, before we go any further, I need everybody help. We was at 7 people, now we sitting at 4. So if I could grab your attention here. So let me show y'all something. Let me share the screen. Okay. Can you see the words?
Not really. It's too small.
Okay, let me
Where is it? What are you trying to read?
zone in. What about now?
Yeah, I can see what the words are. I can make it out.
I would like to thank everyone who subbed to the channel. We would like to thank you all for helping us grow. We just passed the milestone, a new achievement. We are sitting at 10,636. We have reached in the last 28 days 3.1 million people with 19.2K watch time. Thank you. Thank you all for watching our shorts, coming to watch our live videos. Without you, we would not have reached it this far. We got comments on the channel, everything. Without you, we would not have made it this far. So please hit the like, share, subscribe, and if you haven't already, hit that bell notification. It's easy as this. You hit the like button, you hit the subscription, and then you hit the bell notification. So when we go live, you up to date. When we drop a short or upload a video, you'll be the first to know. So let's get into more on the subject.
Iranian regime have clearly done terrible things, particularly to their own people. But your prime minister is a wanted war criminal. You don't have the moral high ground here at all.
This is a war crime. This is a war crime. Targeting civilians, targeting elderly women, killing, murdering her caregiver from the Philippines. And the Iranian regime is targeting not only us in Israel. They are targeting the entire region.
What about the 100 or so schoolgirls in Iran that are being killed in a strike there?
And this must stop. This must be stopped, and this is what we're trying to do. Yes, next question, please.
But what about those Iranian
let's
schoolgirls?
allow others. Please.
I'm Lomas from.
So I want to go into this video real quick. Israel Prime Minister is warning for war crime dealing with Gaza. They are using the media, which we told you earlier is one of America's weapons. Propaganda. If we show that the Arab nations did not have nothing to do with this and getting attacked by Iran for no reason, Israel had to fight for their survival, and Iran is destroying civil infrastructure, we here in America would be like, why our allies going down? We need to help them. Look, you could tell your children, you could tell your nieces and nephews to join this war effort. But I will not tell none of my friends, family, or my worstest enemy to play with them Iranians. Because there's
Listen,
only...
nobody told anybody to go out of their way, to hit these people with bombs, It wasn't even provoked, if you ask me, even though they want to say, that because they burned that statue of Baal, that was a direct act of war against Israel and the United States. But I said, for who? Because I'm not into idol worshiping, number one. And number two, I'm definitely not following no idols that's for bloodshed and child sacrifice. I'm definitely not following those type of deals. I don't know what that is, but that ain't no positive vibes bring positive results type situations out here. You know what I'm saying? That's some negative energy bringing that justice where it gotta bring it out at, bro. Divine retribution. This is not no funny style. Oh, we're just gonna hit these folks up and we gonna get up out of there by next week. Nah, this ain't none of that. Iran is not looking to come to the table for a ceasefire, even though the Trump administration's already asked for a ceasefire twice. So we already know where their heads at, because they're trying to stop the PR nightmare. They're trying to stop the bleeding, because the results of this Iranian conflict is almost catching up to the Epstein files. He's about to have the Trump administration and these politicians is about to have to deal with the fallout off of the Iranian conflicts and the Epstein files at the same time now. You know, that's what I'm saying. It's divine retribution. You can't get away with this. You can't just attack people for no reason because they burnt a statue of some Canaanite god that nobody really believes in unless you're in these secret societies or Freemasonry. And, you know, you seen Vladimir Putin said it's illegal to be in the Freemasonry in his country. It's illegal for you to be.
What Mr. Fitness 2 times say? It's something like it's okay if they do it, or something like that. Like it's not cool if I do it, but it's okay if they do it. I'm kind of
Come on, bro. Like, just
paraphrasing.
break it down. Let's break it down. Break it down.
And to
Go
the
ahead.
point that Israel is the role model of attacking citizens, because we would not have free Gaza if we, the world citizens, wasn't aware of their atrocities. But if Iran attack a civil area because United States or Israel want to put military hardware or military personnel in the civil area, it's wrong. Just like you were saying earlier, Shin, that Hamas was living in the ghetto. They had to fight among the civilian population. But Israel, moving command posts, artillery batteries, the Patriot system in civilian areas.
Hey, and let's not forget the biggest part, right, Henry? Let's not forget the biggest red flag, right? That the Israeli command, centralized command, is no longer in Israel. It is in Berlin, Germany. Let's really break it down. You know what I'm saying?
Benjamin Netanyahu is nowhere in Israel. He is on a plane.
Nowhere to be found.
Flying.
Nowhere to be found in Israel.
Or he in Germany. He might be in Florida with his wife and son, because they do have a house there in southern Florida. He might be on a plane. He likes Zelensky. He's a leader without a home right now because Iranian is bombarding.
It's not even that. Listen, Henry, think about it, right? Who's the president of the United States, right? We already know Donald J, right? And we know Donald J is a draft dodger. You know what I'm saying? And that's what's ironic, too, about them trying to institute the draft. You got a president who was a draft dodger trying to command the American people to allow their sons and daughters to go fight in this conflict based on the draft that he himself never participated in, that he ducked and dodged. Now you got Benjamin Netanyahu ducking and dodging the smoke that he created in the Middle East, and he's not even there. He ain't going back over there. That's his whole thing. As long as they're shooting up Tel Aviv, they're not going to go back over there. Benjamin Netanyahu ain't going to be back in Israel for the next 5 to 10 years, or however long this conflict is going to extend to and expand into greater warfare in the present moment to the future moments. Benjamin Netanyahu is not going to be back in Israel for a very long time.
Yes. So I want to,
which is a hypocrisy. I just want to make sure I pointed that out.
Yeah,
but it makes sense because his buddy Trump is a draft dodger too. So, what can you expect from people who never had the gumption to be in the field. You know how we say in the streets, you
Yes,
could have
yes.
been in the field, but you wasn't in the field. You was out here
He
ducking
never
and
jumped out the
dodging the
porch.
service.
He never jumped out the stoop. If you from New York,
Exactly.
he haven't jumped out the stoop.
That's one of those things, Henry. Like, you can't never really account for people's life experience. But when it's a well-known fact that you dodged the draft in Vietnam, and then you out here trying to be a war commander in chief, wartime president, but you wasn't, my nigga, you wasn't even wartime when the war was on in your time in your youth. You
Yes.
wasn't wartime nothing.
So I
Donald
want to
Trump can
break
dab
this
you some
down
money,
right
say,
here.
and that's why I hope a lot of these people is ready to send their children to go to these drafts, because it's funny how they require it, like you said, to finesse time 2 times. It's okay when they do it, but it's not okay when we do it. So
Facts.
Donald Trump so technically, based on president, if you get caught AWOL dodging the draft, your lawyer could fight it for you by saying, well, the president himself never went to war and dodged the draft. So as an American citizen, I would say that's equality.
Mm-hmm. So let me
How can
jump
you
to
ask
this real
somebody to
quick.
do something you wouldn't do yourself?
Yes. So this is not a war of attrition on our part. America attacked Iran because Israel was planning on attacking Iran. United States excuse is that Iran was days away from nuclear weapons. Iran was planning on attacking Israel. But Donald Trump officials came out, like Marco Rubio, came out and said that while in negotiation, the Israelis was going to plan an attack on Iran. And the United States knew because the Iranians told the United States that if Israel attack us, we will attack Israel and we will attack everything the United States have in the Middle East. So United States knew that they had to be on the offense. They had to be on offense because Israel was going to attack. Then America being on the defense, like Israel attack, we're going to protect everyone. No, America went along with the plan and attacked the Iranians. My co-hosts say in a frame of religion, I don't look at it as a lineager or a timeline as a special people. I look at it as a propaganda religional front. If I'm a Muslim, my friend is a Hebrew, and my cousin is a Christian. That's divide and conquer in the fray of the propaganda. As to the point that it make it seem to the American people that these converts are God chosen people. If I'm
Yeah, but Henry,
somebody
I wasn't
you
trying to imply like that. I wasn't implying
no
that. I was just saying it from a general consensus of the of history of time and memorial, that
no No, I
these
agree with what
symbols.
you say.
I'm
What
saying,
I
no, hold on. Let
said
me just say this part.
is,
That these
yeah,
symbols and these battles are battles that we fought in previous lifetimes, previous generations, previous civilizations. Because we what do we call the United States and Israel, right? We call it the West, right? So
yes,
that means technically, Henry, like
yes,
you can agree with me or not on this, but the West means Western cultures, Western civilization. That's if we was in college, that's what it would be called, Western civilization, right?
yes, Greek,
United
Rome.
States, the United States, the British Empire, the Spanish Empire, the Portuguese Empire, the Italian Empire, the Roman Empire, the Catholic Empire, the Greco-Roman empires, etc., the Hebrews in ancient Egypt, all the way back to Alexander the Great, and even further back than just Alexander the Great. That's just where they like to stop at, because they don't want to go too far deep into the real history, because you'll see that a lot of the times Babylon has won these battles. And when I say Babylon, we're talking about a combined force of Iraq, modern day Iraq, and modern day Iran, which would be considered the state of Elam in those times. And a good majority of the times when the Western civilizations have gone up against these Babylonians, the true Babylonians, by the way, not just these people who are involved with Babel, which means in Hebrew confusion, but the Babylonians, the original Babylonians, the Sumerians, if we really want to be politically correct and true, right with the history, the Sumerians, that
I got a
the
question to ask
Sumerians have
you.
barely been defeated in a historical context.
I got a question to ask you. So, here in the United States, you have people in Europe coming to the United States and start becoming Britannians, correct? That means they
Right.
start acting like the native people here.
Well, they do that in every country. Let's just tell the truth.
Yeah. So what I was meaning is that some convert could take on the identity of some people in these religional books. You see what I'm saying? And use the
Yeah, that's an
propaganda to make
infiltration
it seem
tactic.
like they the chosen people. See what I'm saying?
See, you got to remember this too, though, Henry. Remember, just the framework, right? The chosen people, right? That's not even really applicable. That's not even really an applicable term, if you want to be honest, because in a spiritual community, you're not a chosen people, right? You're a chosen one, one. Because even in the biblical text, when you get into the brass tacks of these things, these mythical statements, because that's what they are that they're making. They're making these mythical statements. When you study the spiritual text, you realize that really it's just the oneness of self is talking about as the individual. It is not talking about a chosen people as in a group of people. No, it's on solely on the individual. Now, if the individuals get together and become a group, it doesn't make them the chosen people. It makes them the chosen ones, with the ONE with an S on it and a plural. You know what I'm saying? And then it also lines up in the biblical favor, because where God said that it's not going to be a nation. Israel itself, the true Israel, is not ever going to be a nation itself again. It's going to be scattered amongst the nations, because we're supposed to be teaching people morality, ethics, and to follow the commandments of the law, the 10 Commandments, because the Ten Commandments is basically the laws that we have to abide by for moral and ethical standard. You know what I'm saying?
Talking
And that's
about
where we're out of
morals.
luck too with the Trump administration. Hold on, let me say this last thing. And that's where we're out of luck with the Trump administration, because based on the uncouth and unprofessional preemptive strike against Iran, on top of the evidence that has come out against these so-called leaders and politicians in the Epstein files about molestation and human trafficking and drug dealing and physical abuse of human rights and basically crimes against humanity, it's proven the point. It's proven the point. It's no moral and ethical standard in any of it. Yet, well, you're bombing civilians. The first place you hit up is a school with children in it, little girls. You know that. You know how they always say how it goes, Henry. They had to attack the little girls first because that's their level. You know, that's their frequency.
Let's
They're on
read what the Iranian
they're on the
leader.
level of little girls in the sense that their opposition was to hit a school full of little children.
Can you read this for us?
The Islamic Republic of Iran has always emphasized the preservation and continuation of friendly relations with the governments of the region based on good neighborliness and mutual respect for national sovereignty and territorial integrity. This does not negate Iran's inherent right to defend itself against military aggression by the United States and the Zionist regime.
This one too.
We stand firm to the last breath in defense of our country and resist. Iran's defensive operations are exclusively against targets and facilities that are the origin and source of aggressive action against the Iranian nation, and we consider them legitimate targets, quote unquote.
Going to send our men and women to harm's way when our elected officials said that there would be no world war. Anybody who feels disillusioned and betrayed by our government, you're not alone. Join us in demanding accountability for this betrayal. Free Palestine, free America.
Free America. They don't understand that this soldier right here, he got his arm broke when they was dragging him off. Iran is telling its neighbors, we respect you. We don't want to attack you, but you have equipment, technology, and access that helping United States, Israel to create atrocities against the nation of Israel. We can't lie. People, you could come in a comment section and say, "Oh, you're an enemy of the state because you support Iran." We realists. We not coming here sugarcoating, trying to get paid to make you happy.
Hold on, Henry. Let me address
Wait.
that.
Let me finish this. I gotta finish this. We here to tell the truth. We witness in real time, waking up in the morning to hear United States and Israel attacking Iran. Iran have legitimate rights. We have Donald Trump talking about the next leader of Iran. I'm gonna pick him. But y'all not talking about y'all say there's not gonna be no regime change. You wanna fraction the countries against sectarian line, so you blow up infrastructure in Iran so they will not come to be a civilized nation. They live like they is in the Middle Ages. You are igniting the Shiite axis of resistance. You have Iraq Shiites sending missiles on United States bases. You have Hezbollah is now in the fray attacking Israel. The only one who is not attacking right now is the Houthis. And if the Houthis start attacking, that will be a dilemma for the world, because that'd be the Red Sea and the Persian Gulf knocked out of commission.
Not to mention Saudi Arabia would be surrounded.
Yes. Yes.
And like I said before, a lot of people don't understand. So a lot of the major areas of Saudi Arabia is not getting hit by missile strikes only simply for one reason and one reason only, because Mecca and Medina is in Saudi Arabia, and we know that Iranians are Muslims, so they're not going to attack Mecca or Medina, so they're not going to cause destruction in their holiest sites. So that in itself would be out of line and out of order. They would lose all their support in the moral and ethical capacity. So, and Iran can't lose that moral high ground right now, because that's part of why they're winning this against the United States. And just like I was trying to say when you were speaking earlier, that we got to address that. This is the Trump administration who went to war against Iran. The United States of America has not gone to war against Iran. We're not the United States of America, aka we the people. Right now, it's a consensus. It's a public consensus and a well-known fact in America right now that the majority of the American people do not believe that we should have ever went into the conflict with Iran. And not only that, they don't see why Iran was even a problem in the first place. A lot of people, and now Trump and his band of Fox News analysts that he put into cabinet positions. Let's not forget that part, right? Peter Hessick and all these people that remember, before Trump won the election, these people was on Fox News. These people were not military generals. They was not in the political positions. They weren't in any previous political positions. They're just TV analysts, and for helping Trump, quid pro quo, they helped him get reelected as a president, legacy media, so they got positions on the cabinet. And if you ask me, Henry, that's another key reason why Iran is strategically winning in the key results of the conflict, because Iran got real hardened generals, people who've been in the military their whole life. We got folks who is just sitting on the couch, bro. What does this sound like a replay of, Henry? You know? Do you know? Zelensky.
Repeat that.
I said this is a repeat of another time of the same thing. You know how Trump got in his administration these television analysts, right?
Yes.
Who else was in the TV? Vladimir Zelensky. You know?
Yeah.
Zelensky was on TV before he became the president of the Ukraine.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Actor.
Right. And if we go back to the Marvel comics, you know, because I always bring it back to the Marvel comics, it goes back to what they showed us on the Iron Man when they had the Mandarin, but he wasn't really a real general. He was an actor. He was just an actor.
Yes. So let's go into the video.
The drone hits one satellite communication terminal, clearly seen here. But the scale of the damage is more obvious here, warehouses and other buildings damaged, and another satellite communication terminal destroyed in a separate attack. We see this pattern of targeting throughout the region. At least 5 satellite communication terminals were destroyed. It points to a possible Iranian effort to cut US bases off from the outside world. Iran used an unprecedented barrage of missiles and drones. US Patriot missiles and other multi-billion-dollar air defense systems shot most of these out of the sky. But the ones that got through were enough to puncture the veil of security around oil-rich Gulf Arab states and the heart of America's security infrastructure in the Middle East.
We have obtained incredible new satellite imagery, and this is really important. It does show extensive damage at military bases across Iran, as you might expect, but that is what it shows. Now, we're using these images to piece together how the United States managed to kill the country's supreme leader and so many around him that they after they thought dark was light, darkness was done, they're going to have this meeting. And was taken out. The U.S., we understand, had secretly been trailing him with intelligence for months. Katie Polglaze is out front with this incredible report.
With Iran very much still under attack, we've been using videos and satellite images like this one of the strike on the Supreme Leader's office to analyse how the senior leadership was dismantled by US and Israeli strikes and where exactly they've hit.
We now know from US and Israeli sources that the CIA, along with Israeli intelligence, had been tracking Iran's senior leadership for months. Then came intelligence about a perfect opportunity to strike in broad daylight when many of Iran's top officials would be in the same place at once.
And that place was here, the leadership house and the hub of Iran's power. It's also the office of Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, now confirmed dead. It's in a very old, traditional Tehran neighbourhood, surrounded by government offices, scientific institutions and museums. Khamenei was known to not leave this compound much. He was seen here in this video just last week, addressing crowds at a mosque. The Israelis say they hit 3 sites on the compound simultaneously. We found several locations that have damage. You can see a central building completely flattened. You can also see 2 craters here. This one appeared to have been targeting an underground structure, according to a former US Special Operations Tactical Advisor, Wes Bryant. Over here, you can see crowds and emergency and construction vehicles. But this wasn't the only location hit. The Intelligence Ministry headquarters was also up in smoke yesterday. And then there's this strike, right outside the house of former Iranian President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad. He has today been reported dead by some Iranian outlets. CNN has not been able to confirm his death. Ali Shamkhani, a senior advisor to the Supreme Leader, has also been reported dead by the Iranian authorities. He narrowly escaped death last June when Israel struck his home in this precise targeting of a top-floor apartment. Almost miraculously, he emerged from the rubble days later. This time, he was not so lucky. But others have been. The Iranian Foreign
They not attacking military installation. When we look at the pictures, what United States show us and the media show us that Iran is attacking legitimate military targets. But if we look at Iran, we see Iran getting attacked by United States and Israel in illegitimate ways. I'm gonna show you an example. United States got
Henry,
troops in the Middle East.
let me just update what they said on that video, because I had seen another video and I just confirmed it. They said that Ahmadinejad is confirmed that he's not dead. And remember, I was talking about this to you the other day when we was having a discussion about this show, that Iranians was talking about raising back up Ahmadinejad back to that prime minister position that Khomeini was holding. So we know Ahmadinejad was holding that before him anyway, and Ahmadinejad is more of a combat prime minister in anyway, and more in a general sense anyway.
Yeah.
Which would be more
So
beneficial to Iranians in this circumstance.
so we see that if, let's say, Iranian attack the White House or Mar-a-Lago, these are legitimate targets of the Iranians because they at war. If we look at the mind frame of the United States military planners, you're not attacking the military apparatus, you attacking leadership, not in government buildings, but actually in their home, wiping their families out and their neighbors. Collateral damage.
Yeah, but you seen the precision of those strikes, though, Henry. You gotta remember it's still a precision strike. They're not like, if they hit Mar-a-Lago, they're not gonna blow up the greater West Palm Beach area. They're gonna be using precision missiles that the explosives is calibrated to only blow up those certain areas and not do any more external damage. Because if you've seen, even in that CNN report, that they made sure to say that the surrounding city was not damaged at all by any of the missile strikes.
Yeah.
So that goes back to what I was saying earlier. Remember about, is it a total war or not? And
Yeah.
the way that they're making these strikes, that's why I said it's more like it's just precision strikes, because they're only going after leadership and they're trying as hard as they can not to get as many civilians as collateral damage as possible, and not to do any damage to the economic and social superstructures of the areas that they're attacking.
And they trying to
Because
get
remember, if it was
the
World War II, they would have just carpet bombed Tehran.
and they trying to get the Kurds involved. So let me share this real quick to everyone. Okay. Let's go here. I want to thank everyone who's still on. Thank you, appreciate it. You helping our watch hours. So let me share this.
Most Christian men think ministry and business don't mix. But what if your business could be your ministry?
As the Iran conflict expands, there's reporting tonight that thousands of Iranian Kurds are preparing for a potential military operation in Iran with U.S. backing. That's the Associated Press tonight. The Kurds are among the largest stateless ethnic group in the world, with roughly 30 million living as minorities in Turkey, Iraq, Iran, and Syria. The Kurds represent about 10% of the Iranian population. They make up about 15% of the population in Iraq. The groups in Iraqi Kurdistan have a long history of working with the U.S. during both the Iraq War and the battle against ISIS. Joining us now is Bafel Talabani, president of the Patriotic Union of Kurdistan, the PUK. Mr. Talabani, thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.
Let's first start big picture and paint the picture from where you sit of what you see with this war in Iran and what you think the implications are of it as it exists now.
We saw the hostilities start surprisingly, and it seems to be a massive escalation across all fronts. Kurdistan has come under attack from several different angles, and I'm not seeing any sign of a slowdown. If anything, I'm seeing an escalation.
So the U.S. is working on taking out missile sites and drone factories and that sort of thing. But as far as groups on the ground fighting the Iranians, there's reporting that thousands of Iranian Kurds are preparing for this operation. Where does that stand?
There are a lot of Iranian Kurds that deserve dignity, and they deserve perhaps better treatment. But as for any actual preparation and armed Kurds inside Iran, there are elements, and there's lots of political organization. But most of the most effective fighting forces are actually outside of Iran. They're on the borders here.
You had a conversation with President Trump. What was that like?
He was very charming. He was very kind. I could feel that emotion in his voice. He said that the Kurds were great fighters. My understanding is that the protection of their people in Iraq is paramount. He's very grateful for all the years that we have served and I have spent with your special forces.
You also talked to the Iranian foreign minister.
Yes.
What is their take on things from your call? Do you believe that regime change is possible the way it's heading right now?
The foreign minister, His Excellency, expressed great disappointment, if I'm honest with you. He indicated that as far as they were concerned, the talks were going well. He implied that a technical group was supposed to sit together in the upcoming days to discuss technical matters. He indicated that this wasn't a war that they were looking forward to, but it was a war they would have to fight. It's definitely existential to them. I got the impression that they were open to some form of peaceful negotiation, which realistically is the only real solution to this issue. Regime change at the moment doesn't look on the cards from what I see. We've seen no uprisings anywhere. We've seen nothing of that. But it's early days. I expect this operation.
Yeah, so we even hear Fox News trying to push this man into committing his ethnic group to rebel in Iran. The Kurds don't look like they planning on doing anything.
Yeah, they're trying to leverage them into the battle based on how we helped them in Iraq and the Iraq war to get free from oppression. So now you know how it is. Typical United States fashion. We're calling in them favors. You know what I mean? We're trying to call in them favors. We ain't doing nothing for free out here. You know how that goes, Henry.
Yeah.
And not only that, you know, let's really get into it, because I don't know if you heard it, but I know I heard it crystal clear. That man said that Donald Trump was karmic. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if you heard him like I did, because I know I heard him crystal clear. He said that Donald Trump was karmic. I mean charming. Come on, bro. That's a Freudian slip. You know what I'm saying? He was speaking how he truly felt about Donald Trump when he said he was being karmic. But at the same time, he tried to clean it up real quick by saying he was charming. You know, like, we already know what that means, Henry, in spirituality, right? What does it mean to be charming?
Trying to suck up.
You're using magic, right? You're using magic, right?
Yeah.
You're using magic. I'm using, Henry, if I'm being charming with you, that means I'm using magic on you.
Yeah, charm.
I'm using magic on you. I'm
The
using
charm
magic to
one.
try to sway your opinion or your choices, right?
Yes.
Into my favor, right? That's why it's magic, because we're talking about what? Favor. Who's the god of favor? God, right? God, Gad. The god of favor, right? Fortune. The god of fortune, the god of favor, right? So we see what they're trying to say out here. But guess what? Like you said, that Kurdish dude was standing on his principles. He was like, you gotta be crazy if you thought he was going in there to fight Iran. You gotta be crazy. You know what I'm saying? We ain't going into the mountains to go fight Iran. Are you wild? Just like ain't nobody in America out here ready to get suited and booted and go try to climb the mountains to get into Iran. Who's really, Henry, who do you know? Henry, who do you know that's ready to get suited and booted out here?
Nobody I know.
You said nobody, far and few in between, right?
Yep.
They ain't ready to go to no mountain suited and booted, ready to go. We might not come back for 6 months, and we might be in mountainous terrain the whole time, where it's blazing hot in the daytime and it's sub-zero temperature at night. Come on, Henry. Who wants to be out there in that mess?
Since this war, 1,230 people in Iran had been dead.
So you know what I always say, right, Henry? The law of
So,
ratios, right? In mathematics, the law of ratios, right? So
see,
they're saying that the United States has lost about 560, if we're talking about an accurate number, 560 casualties. But we're not including Israelis, civilians who got taken up in these blasts. And we're not talking about Qatar, Bahrain, UAE, or Saudi Arabia, who their casualties was, because I'm pretty sure that it's far more than 1,230.
yeah, yeah, with the Iranian, just given that number, we could look at 100, and some of that number was the female students attacked at that school. And we can see that this is CNN. CNN is not really giving none of the information exactly that you were speaking of from them other nations. So we have here a time frame. And it's funny that what they call it because like leap year. February only got how many days in it? In the leap year is what?
28.
28 is
Leap
the
year
leap
is
year,
29.
right?
No,
So
29.
so he got 29 days.
It's a regular year this year because it was only February was
Yes.
only 28 days.
Okay. So on the last day of February, the United States Israel launched strikes on Iran in the early hours of February. Trump announced that the United States had begun major combat operations in Iran, pledging to lay waste to the country military and obliterate its nuclear program. Major combat
Obliterate.
operations sound like a special operation. Just like Vladimir Putin said that he going on a special operation in Ukraine, United States is using that same content to say, hey, we on a major combat operation because the United States Senate and the Congress did not authorize War Power Act. So we have in the same day of the attack, you going after the supreme leader. Iran supreme leader Ayatollah Al Khamenei is killed in an attack on his compound in the heart of Tehran. A strike that Trump said was aimed at overturning Tehran government. Several members of his family and other powerful Iran officials also died in the strike. But you hear that Donald Trump said the attack on Al Khamenei was to overturn Tehran government. But many video online have Pete Hegseth saying that our objective is not regime change. So, from the killing of El Yamadi, you have Tehran retaliating with attacks not just on Israel, but on multiple countries in the region, including Israel and several United States allies. Strikes hit the United States Navy Fifth Fleet headquarters in Bahrain. Later in the week, Trump would tell CNN that Iran attack on Arab country are the biggest surprise of the war. How can this be the biggest surprise of the war when Iran told us it wasn't something that they went and told just the government? They made video. They made sure every media outlet knew that if Israel, just Israel themselves attack United States, no, Iran know that United States would defend Israel. So Iran would have to attack United States. So Iran told United States, if your little brother attack us, we gonna attack you too. In every basis in them country. It's up there. Everything is up there. So how can he be surprised? He thought our technology, our propaganda, and our money would stop the Iranian from fulfilling what they said they was going to do. Sunday,
Well,
March
it's
1st.
just difficult. I was gonna say it's difficult for them to really control a regime change like that in Iran because Iran is an ancient civilization like China. So they have detailed plans of succession based on bloodlines, rankings, etc. That these lines of ascension have been in place thousands of years already. Like throughout the generations, they always have it set up where if the top leadership does get took out, there's already another successive leadership to jump right in and take the place, so that way there's no lapse in the government.
So when it come down to Iraq got two rivers, the Euphrates and the Tigris. So everybody live on that river. So you could control the people more easier. When we see Damascus, it is more close to Israel. It's surrounded by mountains and stuff. So it was easy. But when it come down to Iran, there's no logical logistics to show them able to sustain a land war. And this the type of
Just
stuff
bringing
we
in
dealing with.
reinforcements would be almost that's going to be a dangerous endeavor, Henry.
Yeah.
Because there's really only one way. There's only one way to get troops into Iran, Greater Iran, and that's going to be from airborne drops. So they're going to have to be jumping out of the back of airplanes over Tehran to be able to get soldiers in there. It's not going to be like Iraq where we could just roll up on the port and boom, we in there. You know what I mean?
And on the second,
it's not like Venezuela, like where we could come from the ports and boom, we're in there.
Yeah, facts.
Like you showed
and on the
earlier on the
second
map.
day of the war itself, we witnessed 6 United States service members killed in direct Iran strike. So if we put the Kurdish on the border of Iran, Iran could just send a missile and get them out the way. The only thing that United States could do with the Kurds is organize them as a stealth mission, sabotage thing, secret mission. But to have them as a invading force, I don't see that being a sustainable solution.
If we had to do an invasion, let's just play the parameters. Go get a can you get a regular map, Henry? Bring up the regular map of Iran.
Oh yeah,
the one like you brought up earlier with the Strait of Hormuz. Bring that back up. Can you bring that back up?
Yes, I'm about to put it up now.
Because I'm gonna show you what's the because it's only one real tactic that could be used. There's only one tactic basically, because if you know military strategy, it's only one tactic. It's not like with Iraq or Syria, Lebanon, where we can come in from the ports or we can come in from a flatland based area and be able to do a actual invasion like a land invasion or a sea invasion. We can't do those type of assaults like amphibious assaults or any type of real substance on these assaults. Make sure you get one that got the terrains on it, Henry, so we can see the terrains too.
Let's go. Looking up and now. Satellite imaging of Iran.
All right, now
I like
zoom
this.
into
It's
that.
kind of
Make
shiny.
sure I got the cities on there, Henry. Make sure I got the cities on there.
Oh, this might be a little difficult, but let me
No,
see.
that one right there looks like that one in the middle is good. The one in the middle of the page is good, Henry.
Here you go, right here.
Yeah, I'm waiting for it to load up. It's not loading up on the screen share.
Okay, we might be able to song. Let's see. They don't want to show up with. Okay, let's see.
It's not letting you go show it.
Not with the cities, but let's see this one. Okay.
There we go.
I'm just sure, like here, it might be a little
Let's
bit
show one of the
better.
maps so I can tell you what I'm telling
Yeah,
you. What I'm showing.
I'm about to show it now. Here you go. Right here.
Beautiful, 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 Henry. Beautiful. Now zoom out for the so we can see a little bit more in the south where the Gulf is at. The Straits of Hormuz. All right, now see, there's the Straits of Hormuz. You see this? Now, understanding, we got the main areas that would have to get hit is these little dots, which is the cities. Tehran being right here in the middle. It is very far from the coast, protected by all those mountains. Number one. Number two, there's only one way to invade, Henry. And that would be, it would have to be a massive air offensive. And they would have to be jumping out of the airplanes over Tehran. And it would have to be in a sense of where we would drop the majority of the force off, but ain't nobody getting picked up. Ain't nobody getting picked up. Once you jump out that airplane, there's no support until they're able to what, Henry? Secure the airfield, right?
Yes.
To make sure that people understand the tactics that got to go on and how we got to move in order to secure the field of battle, right? They would have to get dropped out of the airplane over Tehran by the thousands, by the way, not just a couple of people like Navy SEAL teams or like they did on Maduro. They would have to like literally drop thousands upon thousands of soldiers at a single time onto the skies of Tehran in order to get a strong enough force and coordinate and be able to coordinate
some type of offensive where they would be able to secure a landing field and be able to start flying the soldiers in by plane into the reinforcement zone.
And we
But that in
gotta
itself would take a major effort though, because a lot of based on what we've been seeing, Henry, even the fighter jets right now is getting shot down over Kuwait and over Iran. So how would they get those big passenger slow passenger planes to be able to get to over Tehran for the soldiers to be able to jump out without getting blown out the sky? You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
it's not going to be an easy operation.
And we
It's
also
not like Iraq. That's why if you look on the map, you see how in Iraq it was different, because Iraq has a lot of cities clustered right there, while also the Euphrates and the Tigris dump off into this sea right here. Is dumping off into the sea. We came in on that Kuwait Iraq area with our ships, and we was able to unload the soldiers like that, and it's flat land right there. But in Iran,
one
on the whole coast, is those sheer mountain cliffs and mountaintops.
yeah, one recent news that just came in is that the Iranian push the Abraham Lincoln aircraft carrier a few more nautical miles away because Iran sent a coastal to sea missile. They shot from the coast into the ocean a ballistic missile, a coastal to sea missile, and it made United States move. United States do not have no country in the region that offer them an air base that could allow them to logistically land troops in Iran and to support them. They can't do it in Iraq because they under attack in Iraq. Bahrain, let me tap on to see if I get smaller. When you get closer to the map, we see Bahrain the island. But Bahrain, that small island, is soon to run out of food. We see Qatar. We see the United Arab Emirates. All got
None of
United
those
States
countries are gonna let us
military
stage anything, because
access
those are the
in that
countries right now that's
country.
getting bombarded.
Yes, they all got U.S. access in that country. The main thinking
Yeah,
is
but they're
this.
being bombarded. So you gotta, yeah,
Yeah.
but you gotta think about it, Henry. They're being bombarded right now by thousands of Iranian missiles. It is not good. It is not a good time or a good area to try to stage a offensive, because a lot of those soldiers is gonna get hit up before they even get onto the battlefield in Iran, because if they're in Qatar or Arab Emirates, let's just say, to try to get to Tehran, they're gonna get took out over there by the missile bombardments. They're gonna get. They
And
didn't
even
even get in the airplane yet, and they got blown.
the terrain of Iran is ridiculous because we see these one, two, three, four. These four cities near the Strait of Hormuz and the Gulf of Oman. We see that it takes them a long road to hit any major city on their way up to Tehran. Tehran is far, and it's mountain range between that, deserts between that. Iraq, Syria, is flat land. Iran have the terrain to stop them in their tracks. We have the Middle Eastern countries now saying rethinking everything because it was a flex. They was flexing. I want to stunt a little bit. I'm sorry. I gotta be a stunner, but let me stunt. Oh, I made you stunt, Shan. Let me get this right. I'm sorry, everybody, but this is the key right here. Let me get right. So you got a little flex, you feel? You gotta flex the muscle a little bit. Iran is showing mercy. Showing mercy. Why? For two reasons. One is because these other nations are brotherly Muslim country. The Shiites are just 15% of the Muslim population. The other percent is Sunni. They did not attack their ability for water. Here in the United States, we could get water for rivers, wells, and other sources. We got reservoirs and so forth and so with. But in Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, Qatar, and all these Middle Eastern countries, they got to take water from the ocean, separate the sand in the salt from the water so they could drain, use the restroom, clean up things for their animals and their growth. Boom. Blow up one of them factories. No, one of them plants. Water, the way of life. You destroy the whole nation as a whole. But Iran didn't do that. One, because they are Muslims. What is that number two? Because it's Ramadan. The Zionists, United States Empire, don't care about that. But you got to realize it's kind of like you kind of pissed off the whole Muslim atmosphere. Hey, we breaking it down tonight. We going ham tonight. It working. We don't have no static, no echo. We bringing the information to you. If you been on here the whole 2 hours, thank you for helping us with the watch out. If you zooming in and out, appreciate you for watching. So we're gonna let you all go for tonight. Thank you for tuning in with us this Saturday. But before we finish the show off, Shin, you got something to say before we go? Before we leave the subject.
Not really. It's just that other than the United States, we really gotta be intelligent. I want to say intelligent. That's what the word I'll use. Intelligent, right? And remember, Einstein said the sign of intelligence is being able to change your mind, right? So, according to what I'm looking at from my extensive ROTC military tactic and training experience in the academics, it's showing to me that an invasion of Iran is a very tall task. Number one. Number two, Iran is prepared, meaning that we know that we're going into an ambush regardless, right? We're going into an ambush. So it seems that if this is going to turn into a total conflict, total warfare, the populace of the United States needs to be ready for the draft, and they need to be ready for high casualty rates, because it's going to be a lot of casualties, because there's going to be no retreating. If you get dropped off in Tehran, there's no retreat. There's nowhere to fall back to. It's going to be a pure forward position where you're getting inserted into the battlefield and there is no escape once you get in there. The only escape is victory. So if I'm Pete Hessick and Donald Trump and the Joint Chiefs of Staff, I would think twice, maybe three times about invasion of Iran in any capacity when it comes to boots on the ground, logistical support, and things of this nature, because it's already past the reality that it's definitely a difficult situation when it comes to these type of realities of the combat. So they're going to either that, or they're going to be prepared to take high casualty rates.
Yes. For the United States service members who passed away, I will not forget about you all. Through this whole ordeal, explaining to the next generation why people who came before us is making decisions for us. I don't want to leave out the soldiers and the casualties of war. So we're going to have a moment of silence for them. Thank you. That moment of silence dedicated for the ones who lost their life before this conflict, during this conflict, and even after. We human beings. We hear news, me never in the working service. What is our service? To serve you, the community. In our community, it's not just local. Our community is the world. And we appreciate the world for showing love towards us as we love you all and we pray. We pray for you all, wherever you come from. I hope you enjoy our shorts, enjoy our uploads, and our lives. Thank you all. We appreciate you all. And we hope for the best, because sometimes this world is chaotic. But you have people out here that might don't know you, but we sure do care about you. We might don't know you personally, but we hope that you enjoy your days in bliss. We here at News been televising the conflict going on in India to Latin America, the Middle East to Charlie Kirk, for the poisoning of our food to the manipulation of our weapons. Newsroom is here. We here to stay. Whatever topic that you deem worthy to speak about, you can hit us up in the comment section, or you could email at us. Email us at ngawordler@gmail.com. You could tell us, suggest to us a topic that you deem necessary. I'm done with that. I love you all. I might don't like everything everyone do sometimes, but that don't stop me for loving you all. You might be the genocidal Benjamin Netanyahu. I still love you, Baldy. I'm about to sing that song. Ball nigga, ball nigga, ball nigga, ball. I'm sorry.
Hey, you know who Benjamin Netanyahu looks like a little bit too, Henry?
Mr.
He look
Magoo?
like, tell me why he look like Elmer Fudd.
Yes.
Your boy looks like Elmer Fudd out here.
I'm saying Mr. Magoo. But okay, you want to hit the people with a
Hey, well,
last
that's the way it
salute?
is, man.
You want to hit the people with a last salute?
Hey, you already know. Positive vibes brings positive results. Positive results means you're accomplishing your goals. Just because you go through a negative circumstance doesn't mean you can have a positive outcome. And now I got a new saying right now for 2026 too. My new mantra. If you don't like that people is telling the truth about you, or you don't like that people is exposing you or criticizing you, change your life.
Hey, we ain't playing with them. Look. Yeah, we got the noise, everything. We're a real studio here. Love you. Take care. And never in the working service. See you next time.